Hey everybody, Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com, back to do another recap and analysis of the Steelers' disappointing 26-14 loss to the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday Night Football. Steelers dropped to 1-2-1 on the season, and obviously a bad game in really every facet of the game. I mean, I guess penalties got cleaned up. I think they only had 5 tonight. Special teams was decent in some areas, less decent in others. But just offensively and defensively, you get into the same old of get yourself in a big hole early, try to climb out of it, and then unable to finish because you've kind of been emotionally spent just trying to climb back into the game. And, what I think makes this loss worse than some of the others is just how just humiliated the Steelers defense and the Steelers team, and so the offense in there as well, was to do it at home Sunday night against Baltimore, first matchup of the season, and they just got outworked. I mean, I don't often say that one team wanted it more than the other. I think that's an easy thing that some hacks kind of fall back on and use that as a catch-all without having to explain what happened. But I mean, there's no question in this game Sunday night, Baltimore was the more physical team, the more focused team, the more detail-oriented team, and ultimately the more productive team. And you could say it's a 1-2 thing, and I'm not going to maybe go that far, but clearly the Steelers lost line of scrimmage on offense and defense, and Baltimore made the plays and Pittsburgh didn't. So we'll start with the quarterback position, and really the state of the Steelers right now relies solely on Ben Roethlisberger, and it's always relied heavily on Ben, for several years now, ever since his team's transition from the dominant defense to now one being driven through the offense. But we're at the point where, the run game was non-existent, the defense had so many problems that Ben's got to be perfect and be excellent routinely, and if he's not, then this offense goes nowhere, and the defense isn't going to do enough to pick up the slack. And that's what happened tonight. Ben was really bad across the board. Really made very few impact plays. I mean, the touchdown to AB, the line gave him a lot of time on that, though. But I mean, that was a really well thrown football. I'll definitely give Ben that. He had a great touch pass to Juju for 38 yards in the first half. But in the second half, that offense just shut down, and Baltimore made some really good adjustments. And while the Steelers made some decent adjustments defensively, they were out schemed and out coached. And so when Ben struggles, this team's going to go into a shell, and you're going to get outputs like the second half Sunday night. So that's definitely the concerning part there. I mean, Ben will bounce back and he'll be better, but I mean, you're really just putting everything on number 7, and if he's not elite and immaculate in his play, then you're going to struggle to win games, and that's obviously a huge concern moving forward. Run game non-existent, and that's typical for Baltimore. Rarely did the Steelers have high degrees of success running against them. Now you factor out Le'Veon Bell, the Ravens getting back a big piece in Michael Pierce, their nose tackle, who had missed, I think, with a foot injury, and you just had no chance to run. And while Randy Fichtner didn't run the football a lot, ultimately I think Connor had 9 carries, 11 carries in total for this team. One was Ben. Some just times you didn't have to run the football. 2nd and 20 where you're running a draw. Went nowhere, put yourself in 3rd and forever, and ended up punting. And just a couple other plays where you just didn't run the football. But again, Steelers made, one-dimensional. Ben throwing the football 47 times, running 11 times. I know I've said in the past I don't care about balance, but you do understand that, when you need people to run the football when you need to, they didn't. And, to ask Ben to throw 50 attempts every single week, which is where we're getting to at this point, over the course of the season, that's going to increase the wear and tear. And if this team gets into a playoff situation week 16, 17, or if they make it into the playoffs, then you're going to, have some concerns there about, just Ben being worn down at his age, and possibly throwing, he's definitely on track to throw more attempts than he's ever thrown before, and he might even have set an NFL record at the pace he's at. I'm going to have to check the stats. But thought the offensive line did a nice job in pass protection, given the difficult set of circumstances of how much they threw the football, how Baltimore knew that the pass was coming, and Baltimore's own exotic blitz schemes, especially on 3rd and long, that were difficult to deal with, and so varied. And I thought the line did a nice job of that overall, and James Conner did, I think, a nice job in pass protection. Run game was a different story, obviously, but like I said, I'm not too surprised that they struggled to run the football against Baltimore. That's generally true of any Steelers Ravens matchup. But yeah, you get 14 in the second quarter. You didn't score in the other quarter. You're shut out in the second half for back-to-back weeks. First time that's happened since 1993. 25 years was the last time Steelers didn't put up any points in consecutive games of the second half. And for an offense that, again, it should easily be being able to put up 30. Didn't come anywhere close to that. No, Ben A being on the same page, very weird, couldn't explain it. And I think, and I might write an article about this and expand on it, I'm not sure yet, but that just lacking that true vertical threat in this offense right now that you've had in the past, even if they didn't have the most outlandish and stellar talent, but if you had a Sammy Coates or a Martavis Bryant or even like a Marcus Wheaton, you had somebody to really expand this defense vertically beyond Antonio Brown. And while Juju's been an excellent deep threat, you're looking for that number 3 receiver to step up. I know Vance McDonald's done well and he had another good game tonight, but you're looking for that receiver to step up, and right now you're not getting it, and I think that's kind of stagnating the offense, and I wrote about that after the Washington pick, and I've written about it in the offseason several times, is that that's the one concern for the offense, is that we don't get that third threat for defenses to care about outside the numbers, not always just the tight end. That's gonna hinder the offense, be the thing you have to unlock to get this offense to go. So again, the deep ball struggling tonight. You got the one completion vertical to Juju. You got the AB touchdown, which was kind of just a single coverage, almost a broken play because of how much time Ben had. But within the structure of the offense, the deep plays haven't been there, and they have to be there for this offense to succeed. That's been true for several years now, and that's a big thing that's got to turn around for this offense to get back on track. Defensively, I mean, where to start? I will give them credit in situational football. Actually, one more thing. For the Steelers offense, 2 of 10 on third down. Steelers came into Sunday night ranked 24th in third down percentage, 2 of 10. Just terrible. You got to be able to finish drives and get to start drives, really, when you're 2 of 10. You're not even getting a drive going. So a lot of that's getting into third and long. It's some really difficult to manage situations, and especially versus Baltimore teams like I said. When you go third and long, when you go third down, they're putting sub packages, they're putting 6-7 DBs out there. They're really getting exotic with the blitz looks. Puts a lot of stress and strain on offense to figure out what the coverage is, what the blitz is, and trying to coordinate everything perfectly. And that's a huge issue. So 2 of 10 on third down is just unacceptable, and it's got to get better moving forward. Defensively, like I said, they did play decent situationally. In Baltimore, I think, 1 of 5 in the red zone. Some of that was self-inflicted mistakes that Baltimore had that didn't let them finish drives or put up more points. I think Dave Bryant said it. This is the Baltimore team that could have put up 40 tonight, and I agree. They had some missed opportunities themselves. So nothing that the Steelers really did well, but Baltimore just not finishing and making their own self-inflicted mistakes. But like I said, at the top, they just got out muscled, they got out worked, couldn't control the line of scrimmage. Alex Collins was hitting the second level free several times, even if the run stats don't look great. I know they averaged 3.2 yards per carry, but I think they ran better than those numbers indicate. I think some of that was situational, some of the stuff they did with Lamar Jackson that brings those numbers down a little bit. Though actually Lamar ran for 4.3 yards per carry, but still, I thought they ran better than the numbers show. I think some of that was late, where the Steelers were selling out to stop the run, and it helps make the numbers look better than what they were. But Hayward and Tuitt have 1 sack through 4 games. That's unbelievable. That's a lower number than what Dan McCullers and Javon Hargrave have, which is 2. Hargrave picked up a sack tonight. McCullers had 1 against Kansas City, so that's just lacking production there. Can't explain that one for either guy. I don't think they're as bad as the lack of stats show, but you got to get some splash and production there. The pass rush struggled to win one-on-one. Dupree wins with stunts and some of the schematic stuff, which, hey, I'll take it at this point. Joe Flacco was only hit twice, but those numbers look better than I think where his play is at. TJ Watt is struggling one-on-one. What is TJ Watt's go-to move? That's what when I think about a pass rusher and successful ones, what is their go-to move? You got to have a go-to and a counter. But what is that first move that puts the fear of God in a tackle? I don't know what it is for Watt. I don't know what it is for Dupree, and that's an issue. So you got to have that first move before you can worry about counters. So, I think Watt's a good technician and works hard and has good hand use and energy. You got to find that one move that works really well for him that you can counter off and set everything else up. So Watt's a little bit in the same situation that Bud Dupree has been in, of just trying to find that one move to start, and then you can work on your counters and setting up the rest of your game. So that's where things are at there. Again, Watt with the 3 sacks in week 1, has not had a sack since. So there's an issue there. But again, I think the issue is just tackling, just not getting guys to the ground, allowing too many yards after contact. Even some of the tackles that are made are soft tackles, where guys are falling forward, spinning forward, they're getting 3-4 extra yards. And just by the end of it, the defense was gassed. I mean, they were on the field. I'll get the stats here, but they were on the field for many more plays than the offense. The Steelers offense ran, I think, 19 plays in the second half. Baltimore ran 74 plays. Steelers ran 59, so just a tired defense at that point. But still, some of that's their own fault for not getting off the field themselves. I think Baltimore was hovering around 50% on third down, which is far too high for any defense to allow, especially in close games like this one. Or at least it was, until the score. Baltimore kicked a couple field goals at the end. But just blown coverages, miscommunication. You get the big touchdown to John Brown. Then you hit the 71-yarder as well a little bit later. You're getting beat vertical. Baltimore had a good game plan. They went max protect. They just let their guys win deep and challenge some of the young guys. Terrell Edmonds really struggled. I thought Joe Hayden played well, but Edmonds was definitely just really bad and by far his worst game he's played. And then you just go back to the sub issues, and you go to, 12 men on the field to turn a 3rd and 11 into a 3rd and 6 that Baltimore converted. It was, I think, originally a 2nd and 20. You had just issues with getting the right personnel on the field. That's been a continued problem, and, now it's getting to the point where it's just, it was frustrating to start. I don't even know what the word is for it right now, though. When you still have these issues, and you see it every single week. You've already either read the article, or you'll see it soon, of me breaking down those problems. And we're 4 weeks into this thing. It's got to get cleaned up, and that's on coaching 100%, with personnel issues and getting guys on and off the field. That's all coaching through and through. So tough spot for the Steelers, absolutely. Chris Boswell, nice bounce back for him. 2 very makeable field goals, obviously, but just good for him to make it and get that confidence up. But here's the bottom line. This AFC North is better than we thought since he's been competitive. They got a last second, literally, win against Atlanta today. Obviously, Baltimore won today, and Cleveland nearly won today. They should have won. They got robbed by the officials, but they're obviously going to be a more competitive team this year than since like Derek Anderson in 2007. So you're looking at a tough AFC North and a Steelers team that again is underwhelming. So these next couple weeks, these next 4 games, there's a bye week sandwich in between, it's really going to make or break the Steelers season. You have Atlanta next week, and then I forget what the order is, but then you got Cincy, Cleveland, Baltimore. Baltimore, I know, is on the back end of that. So you got 3 AFC North opponents to deal with the bye week, I think, week 7. And if you come out of that, even 500, it's going to be difficult. If you come out 1-3 over these next 4, good luck the rest of the way. Because the AFC is, in general, is going to be competitive with the wild card spots. You're going to have a very tough road to try to win the division. If you're sitting, even if you go 1-2 against the AFC North over the 3-game span, I'm not sure what the whole math would be. It would obviously depend on a lot of factors. But based on the way other teams are playing, Baltimore and Cincinnati in particular, that's going to be a tough hole to climb out of, and you have a difficult second half of the schedule just in general as well. So huge month coming up here, or 5 weeks, I guess I should say, if you factor in the bye week, but a huge next 4 games coming up that will absolutely define the Steelers season. And if they can't, I think you really have to go 2-1 against those AFC North teams and try to go 3-1 at least over these next 4 games, with at least, like I said, 2 of those wins against the AFC North to get you back into this thing. And if you don't, then you're in some major trouble and major panic mode. But I guess we'll cross that bridge whenever we come to it. I know this video has probably run too long. I'm just trying to get my thoughts out there, but a really disappointing and honestly an embarrassing performance tonight from the Steelers, top to bottom, from coaching to the defense to the offense, and some huge systemic issues with this team where the defense doesn't work unless it can produce a splash play or 2. The offense doesn't work unless Ben is playing elite. Special teams is a headache. Penalties are popcorn. Just unfocused, undisciplined. Just too many dumb stuff you're doing to hurt yourself in games that you can't afford to. And just so much has to go right for this team to win. And it's hard to bank on that every single week. It's hard to bank on Ben being perfect. It's hard to bank on the defense getting a couple of turnovers. It's hard to bank on the coaching at this point for getting the right guys out there, getting the right grouping in, which is sad to say, no doubt about it. And even some stuff you thought you could bank on, you've had trouble trusting that so far, like Chris Boswell, who again had a nice day today. Hopefully that continues, but through the first couple games, you didn't have the trust and it wasn't coming through. So a lot of things for this team right now. Season's not over. I'm not, saying that. I know that's how the general feel after any loss, but we've seen the team bounce back before. I think few teams deal with adversity and respond positively to that better than Pittsburgh. And the Steelers historically under Mike Tomlin are a great second half team. But that's all stuff far away. For now, you got to deal with this loss. You got to deal with it effectively and struggling to find answers of how this will get better. You hope it gets better, but struggling to find out answers of exactly how that's going to happen. So, love to hear your thoughts, whether you're listening on YouTube, Steelers Depot, or follow me on Twitter at Alex_Kozora. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.